Chapter 67, Part 2 of The Golden Bough. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Golden Bough by Sir James Frazer, Chapter 67, Part 2. The External Soul in Folk Custom. Section 4. The Ritual of Death and Resurrection. This view of totemism throws light on the class of religious rites of which no adequate explanation, so far as I am aware, has yet been offered. Amongst many savage tribes, especially such as are known to practice totemism, it is customary for lads at puberty to undergo certain initiatory rites, of which one of the commonest is a pretence of killing the lad and bringing him to life again. Such rites become intelligible if we suppose that their substance consists in extracting the youth's soul in order to transfer it to his totem. For the extraction of his soul would naturally be supposed to kill the youth, or at least to throw him into a death-like trance, which the savage hardly distinguishes from death. His recovery would then be attributed either to the gradual recovery of his system from the violent shock which it had received, or, more probably, to the infusion into him of fresh life drawn from the totem. Thus the essence of these initiatory rites, so far as they consist in a simulation of death and resurrection, would be an exchange of life or souls between the man and his totem. The primitive belief in the possibility of such an exchange of souls comes clearly out in a story of a Basque hunter who affirmed that he had been killed by a bear, but that the bear had, after killing him, breathed its own soul into him, so that the bear's body was now dead, but he himself was a bear, being animated by the bear's soul. This revival of the dead hunter as a bear is exactly analogous to what, on the theory here suggested, is supposed to take place in the ceremony of killing a lad at puberty and bringing him to life again. The lad dies as a man and comes to life again as an animal. The animal soul is now in him, and his human soul is in the animal. With good right, therefore, does he call himself a bear or a wolf, etc., according to his totem, and with good right does he treat the bears or the wolves, etc., as his brethren, since in these animals are lodged the souls of himself and his kindred. Examples of this supposed death and resurrection and initiation are as follows. In the Wongi or Wongibon tribe of New South Wales, the youths on approaching manhood are initiated at a secret ceremony, which none but initiated men may witness. Part of the proceedings consists in knocking out a tooth and giving a new name to the novice, indicative of the change from youth to manhood. While the teeth are being knocked out, an instrument known as a bull roarer, which consists of a flat piece of wood with serrated edges tied to the end of a string, is swung round so as to produce a loud humming noise. The uninitiated are not allowed to see this instrument. Women are forbidden to witness the ceremonies under pain of death. It is given out that the youths are each met in turn by a mythical being called Thuremlin, or more commonly known as Duramolan, who takes the youth to a distance, kills him, and in some instances cuts him up, after which he restores him to life and knocks out a tooth. Their belief in the power of Thuremlin is said to be undoubted. The Ularoi of the upper Darling River said that at initiation the boy met a ghost, who killed him and brought him to life again as a young man. Among the natives on the lower Lachlan and Murray rivers it was Thrumalun or Daramulun who was thought to slay and resuscitate the novices. In the Unmatjera tribe of Central Australia, women and children believe that a spirit called Twanyarika kills the youth and afterwards brings him to life again during the period of initiation. The rites of initiation in this tribe, as in the other central tribes, comprise the operations of circumcision and subincision, and as soon as the second of these has been performed on him, the young man receives from his father a sacred stick, with which, he is told, his spirit was associated in the remotest past. While he is out in the bush recovering from his wounds, he must swing the ball roarer, or a being who lives up in the sky will swoop down and carry him off. In the Bibinga tribe on the western coast of the Gulf of Carpentaria, the women and children believe that the noise of the bull roarer at initiation is made by a spirit named Katajalina, who lives in an ant hill and comes out and eats up the boy, afterwards restoring him to life. Similarly, among the neighbors of Anula, the women imagine that the droning sound of the bull roarer is produced by a spirit called Nabaya, who swallows the lads at initiation, and afterwards disgorges them in the form of initiated men. Among the tribes settled on the southern coast of New South Wales, of which the Coast Murring tribe may be regarded as typical, the drama of resurrection from the dead was exhibited in a graphic form to the novices at initiation. The ceremony has been described for us by an eyewitness. A man, disguised with stringy bark fibre, lay down in a grave, and was lightly covered up with sticks and earth. In his hand he held a small bush, which appeared to be growing in the soil, and other bushes were stuck in the ground to heighten the effect. Then the novices were brought and placed beside the grave. Next, a procession of men, disguised in stringy bark fibre, drew near. They represented a party of medicine men, guided by two reverend seniors, who had come on pilgrimage to the grave of a brother medicine man, who lay buried there. When the little procession, chanting an invocation to Daramulun, had defiled from among the rocks and trees into the open, it drew up on the side of the grave opposite to the novices, the two old men taking up a position in the rear of the dancers. For some time the dance and song went on till the tree that seemed to grow from the grave began to quiver. "Look there!" cried the men to the novices, pointing to the trembling leaves. As they looked, the tree quivered more and more, then was violently agitated and fell to the ground, while amid the excited dancing of the dancers and the chanting of the choir, the supposed dead man spurned from him the superincumbent mass of sticks and leaves, and springing to his feet, danced his magic dance in the grave itself, and exhibited in his mouth the magic substances which he was supposed to have received from Dramulun in person. Some tribes in northern New Guinea, the Yabim, Bakua, Kai, and Tami, like many Australian tribes, require every male member of the tribe to be circumcised before he ranks as a full-grown man, and the tribal initiation, of which circumcision is the central feature, is conceived by them, as by some Australian tribes, as a process of being swallowed and disgorged by a mythical monster whose voice is heard in the humming sound of the bull roarer. Indeed, the New Guinea tribes not only impress this belief on the minds of women and children, but enact it in a dramatic form at the actual rites of initiation, at which no woman or uninitiated person may be present. For this purpose a hut about 100 feet long is erected either in the village or in a lonely part of the forest. It is modelled in the shape of the mythical monster. At the end which represents his head it is high, and it tapers away at the other end. A betel palm, grubbed up with the roots, stands for the backbone of the great being and its clustering fibres for his hair, and to complete the resemblance the butt end of the building is adorned by a native artist with a pair of goggle eyes and a gaping mouth. When, after a tearful parting from their mothers and womenfolk, who believe or pretend to believe in the monster that swallows their dear ones, the awe-struck novices are brought face to face with this imposing structure, the huge creature emits a sullen growl, which is in fact no other than the humming note of the bull roarers swung by men concealed in the monster's belly. The actual process of deglutition is variously enacted. Among the Tami it is represented by causing the candidates to defile past a row of men who hold bull roarers over their heads. Among the Kai it is more graphically set forth by making them pass under a scaffold on which stands a man,